Hello, I'm Dr. Jamie Berry, Coordinator of Educational Leadership Programs at Georgia State University. And today I'm going to spend just a few minutes talking to you about the new tiered certification structure for leaders in the state of Georgia, as well as the educational leadership programs that Georgia State University has available to help you meet that new structure. Enjoy the presentation. So I'm going to begin talking just a little bit about the new tiered certification structure. As I go through this presentation, I'll try to answer as many commonly asked questions as possible. But if after listening to this presentation you have additional questions, or if you would like more information about our programs, here is our contact information. I serve as the overall program coordinator for all ed leadership programs, and Dr. Cheryl Moss serves exclusively as the EDS add-on program coordinator. You can address your questions to either of us. So one of the questions that we are frequently asked with regard to the changes that leadership certification is undergoing is, how do those changes impact me and impact when I should apply to programs? So first of all, it's important to note that all program admissions for all programs across Georgia will cease after spring of 2016 in order to make way for the new tiered leadership certification structure. So in other words, candidates can apply to a performance-based leadership program to begin in spring of 2016, but that will be the last time that they'll be able to apply for a program under the current leadership structure. Beginning summer of 2016, the new two-tiered structure will go into effect. Now, some candidates may not be familiar with the changes that are taking place to leadership certification, so I wanted to take just a moment to explain that. First of all, under the new program, or under the current program, which is called the Performance-Based Leadership Certification Program, a couple of the earmarks are that candidates must be in an approved position or role as designated by their school system in order to participate in the program, and that the school system must endorse the candidate for participation in a program in order to be able to gain leadership certification at the end of their program of study. That means that even if a candidate is in an approved position, the school system still has to provide some paperwork to the institution of higher education stating that they are willing to allow that candidate to enroll. Additionally, the current certification structure will enable candidates to have clear renewable leadership certification at the end of their programs and serve as any kind of leader in the state of Georgia. That can be a building or a system level leader. And again, that certification is clearly renewable provided that the professional learning obligations are met every 5 years. In contrast to that structure, beginning summer of 2016, Georgia is going to what they call a tiered certification structure. In Tier 1, which starts at the master's degree level or above, candidates will be able to self-select into a program. So in other words, they do not have to have a school system endorsement in order to go into that Tier 1 leadership certification level. However, they do have to have someone who is currently certified as a K-12 leader, holds Georgia leadership certification, to serve as their mentor. But that mentor doesn't have to be in their own building, and the mentor doesn't even have to be in their own school system, provided that the mentor can work with the candidate to gain the experiences necessary to meet the minimum requirements for site-based experiences at Tier 1. Tier 1 certification will enable a candidate to go into any leadership position that does not have as one of the key responsibilities supervising others. So in other words, the candidate could serve as an assistant principal or as some other specialty area building level leaders, or could serve at the county office in a capacity that was not responsible for direct supervision. However, to become a candidate or to become a certified leader, to be a principal or an area superintendent or another designation that supervises others, the candidate would have to gain Tier 2 certification. Tier 2 certification is at the specialist degree level and above, and it has a lot of similarities to the current PL structure, with an added requirement that the programs provide documentation of a minimum of 750 hours of site-based experiences. Importantly, a candidate, regardless of what level of teaching certification he or she holds, cannot pursue the Tier 2 certificate until he or she holds the Tier 1 certificate. Now, again, that is all beginning in the summer. So what I want to do is take just a moment and talk you through what that might look like. Let's say, for example, that you are a candidate who holds either a non-renewable leadership certification or who holds teaching certification but has been appointed to an assistant principalship, and your school system is in the process of requesting that non-renewable leadership certification. So you currently hold a level 6 certificate and an NL, a non-renewable L certificate at the level 6. Were you to apply for a program at Georgia State University for spring of 2016, you would be required to do the 6-course add-on. In some cases, you might also be required to do the 2-course prerequisite, but the program of study itself is 6 courses long. At the end of those 6 courses and successfully completing the GACE assessment, you would be eligible for the PL Level 6 certificate in the state of Georgia. Let's say that that same candidate is not ready to apply to a program in spring and decides to wait until summer. That same candidate at that point would have to apply for the Tier 1 leadership add-on and take 6 courses, which would then enable the candidate to be a leader at Tier 1. However, if that candidate down the road decided to go into the principalship or was appointed to a county level position that supervised others, the candidate would then have to go back and do an additional Tier 2 6-course leadership certification add-on. So you see that if you're a candidate who holds a specialist degree and is endorsed by your school system to enter a program, it really behooves you to consider thinking about applying for spring as opposed to applying for summer. Now, let's say that you are a candidate in that same context, but you hold a master's degree. In your case, if you were to apply for spring, and again, I want to highlight that your school system endorses your participation in the program, then you would be able to apply for the 10-course specialist degree program in educational leadership. At the end of that program, you would hold clear, renewable, performance-based leadership certification at level 6. Again, if you waited until summer, you would first have to do the 6-course add-on at the master's degree level for Tier 1. And then at the point where you were ready to go into the higher level leadership, you would have to do the 10-course specialist degree program at Tier 2. So again, you see that if you're a candidate who's in a master's degree position currently, it's also lesser classes if you come into a program in spring versus coming into the program in summer. Now, if you're a candidate who currently holds a bachelor's degree, there is not an option for you under the current performance-based leadership structure to gain any type of leadership certification. So in your case, the best plan would be to wait until summer and either go into a content-based master's degree and then add the Tier 1 certification courses, that 6-course add-on, at the end of that master's degree program, so that you would have certification in both your content area and certification in educational leadership, or to opt into the full master's degree at Tier 1 and then come out of that program with the Tier 1 leadership certification. One of the questions that we are frequently asked is with regard to pay. And the current structure, as well as the structure under the new tiered certification system in the state of Georgia, is that candidates are not paid for degrees in educational leadership unless they are in positions that require those degrees. So in other words, if you're that final candidate that I just discussed, if you get a master's degree only in educational leadership, you would not be paid at a higher level in a teaching position for that master's degree. If you're that same candidate who does an add-on to a teaching degree that is eligible for teaching certification, you would get the bump because of the teaching certificate bump, not because of the leadership bump. So because we know that that is all quite a lot to absorb, here are the links to both the Georgia Professional Standards Commission and to the new leadership rule document. The rule actually went into effect April 15th of this year, but programs are currently being approved by the Professional Standards Commission to offer the Tier 1 leadership certification beginning summer. So I'd like to talk to you just a little bit now about why Georgia State University's leadership programs might be a good fit for you. First of all, one of the really unique things about our programs is that everybody on our leadership faculty has both a long career in K-12 teaching as well as administrative experience at the K-12 level, and then college teaching experience. So in other words, we are not faculty members who are only faculty members. We're faculty members who base our practice and base our sort of theoretical framework on the work that we've done in schools. Additionally, Georgia State holds memorandums of understanding with over 40 school systems and educational entities, including private schools and other sectors of the educational structure. And one of the things that's really important about that is that means that we have relationships with many, many school systems and really work with those school and district level leaders to help specialize the content of our courses to meet the needs of their candidates in the program. Additionally, one of the things that Georgia State University has that is unique to our program is we house the Principal Center. The Principal Center is the only entity in the state of Georgia whose sole existence is based on support and ongoing professional development for principals, for district level administrators, and the staffs with whom they work. So some of those experiences include year-long programs for new principals, for new assistant principals, for instructional coaches, and for aspiring leaders. We also have keynote series where we bring in well-known, nationally known, and internationally known experts, people like Todd Whitaker, Jim Knight, Michael Fullen, Harry Wong. Those are folks who we've had in the Principal Center over just the last year or so. And we house one-day sessions with those nationally known speakers. From time to time, we also host workshop series for women in high school principalships because we understand that there are special challenges associated with folks in those positions. And then we have what we call toolbox series around special contextual elements to professional development in the state of Georgia. Things like the new TEKS and LEAKS standards, the new Georgia Educational Leadership Standards, some of the GLSSI roles, Common Core. So we house or we host toolbox series events around topics like those, as well as lots of work around technology leadership. And then one of the legs of Georgia State University's strategic plan is to increase our students' understanding of international contexts as they relate to the work that we do. And so as a part of that, we have numerous international partnerships that afford our students the opportunity to meet and interact with international speakers, as well as to study in schools and visit schools and systems in other parts of the country and in other parts of the world during the summer term. In addition to that, we also offer numerous conference opportunities to present alongside our faculty members in international contexts. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes now and talk about our add-on and specialist degree program. And then after this presentation, I'll talk a little bit about our professional doctorate. First of all, what I'm getting ready to go over is for spring 2016. Again, if you think back on the earlier conversation, after spring of 2016, admission into the program that I'm about to describe will sunset, which means the Professional Standards Commission will put something of a hard stop on those admissions until the new Tier 2 certification structure is in place. The first thing to highlight about this program is, if you're interested in enrolling for spring 2016, the first thing that you need to do is contact your school system's Human Resources Department to determine what positions they will endorse for enrollment in a program. In some of our partner school systems, they will only allow people to enroll once they are already in an assistant principalship, a principalship, one of those types of traditional leadership roles. In other school systems, they allow teacher leaders to enroll in programs. And so you need to have the endorsement of your school system, and you need to talk to the folks in HR to determine how that works for your system. Here are some typical building level certification approval positions. And here are some typical system level approval positions. With regard to Georgia State's criteria, we require either the GRE or the MAT. We typically require that the scores on those tests are 5 years old or younger. However, if a candidate has taken either test, they can, and the scores are older than 5 years, they can add to their application a note requesting that the scores be considered even though they're older than 5 years. That's especially important for this spring admission cycle because the GRE will not be offered again for a little while. And so you can apply to have older scores accepted. We take both the GRE and the MAT, so either test is fine, and we like to see candidates at approximately the 50th percentile on those tests. Importantly, we only require those tests for the full degree program. If you're a candidate who already holds a specialist or a doctoral certification and are just seeking add-on certification, there is no test requirement for that. As far as certification, candidates need to hold a level 5 certificate in an area. That can be a teaching area, it can be a non-renewable leadership area, or it can be a clear renewable leadership area. If candidates need the prerequisite coursework, that's something that we offer in a modularized format in the first 3 weeks of the semester, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. We like to see graduate GPAs at 3.25 or higher, and then we require 2 letters of recommendation, one of which must be from the administrative supervisor. Additionally, again, candidates must have their school system's endorsement. And if you're interested in applying to this program, you can email either me or you can email Dr. Moss, and we'll send you the GSU approval form. So all you have to do is have that filled out. You'll note on this slide that the deadline for application is November the 1st. By November the 1st, this application fee must be submitted and the online application must be complete. After November 1st, the application system locks out and you won't be able to apply for spring. You would only be able to apply for summer at that point. In addition to the online application and the fee, we also require these additional elements. These additional elements can come in slightly after November 1st. For example, if you're still waiting on your transcripts, they don't have to be in our office by November 1st for you to be considered for the program. However, you must have everything in before you can be fully admitted into the program. So don't think that, oh, I'll just wait until January to get my transcripts in and that'll be workable, because you have to have them in order to be accepted into the program. So for the spring, we are going to have definitely the first option that is listed here, and pending enrollment, we will also have the second option. Both options will be offered one Saturday a month. We will definitely have a new cohort starting on the main Georgia State University campus in downtown Atlanta. And that program will meet, like I said, one Saturday a month in the spring and 2 Saturdays a month in the summer. We have already set the dates for those courses, and so if that's something that you're interested in knowing ahead of your application or ahead of your acceptance, you can just email us and we'll share those dates with you. Pending enough enrollment, we will also start a cohort at the Gwinnett Instructional Support Center in Swanee. One of the questions that I'm frequently asked is, if you are able to offer 2 cohorts, will I be able to pick which location I attend my classes, where I attend my classes? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. Our partners in Gwinnett County are always very gracious about opening their doors to candidates from other school systems. And so the cohorts that we currently run at the Gwinnett Instructional Support Center contain candidates from both Gwinnett County and from surrounding school systems. And so if that's of interest to you and we're able to offer 2 cohorts, you will be able to select the cohort that you enroll in. So the program of study for this program, like the program of study for all the programs that Georgia State's Ed Leadership Unit offers, is completed in a cohort model. And what that means is you go through your course sequence with a group of colleagues from schools throughout the metro area and throughout the state. Georgia State University also supplies you with a coach to be a member of your beginning leader candidate support team. The candidate support team is a requirement of the current performance-based program, and that's a requirement put in place by the Professional Standards Commission. But different colleges meet that requirement in different ways. For example, some universities provide a coach, but that coach is provided to students at an extra fee via a lab fee. At Georgia State University, we have rolled the expense of coaching into the overall tuition, and there's not anything extra added to that tuition. We've designed our delivery in such a way that the coach is provided to you at no additional cost. In addition to the coach, a building or district level supervisor, sometimes this is an assistant principal, a principal, sometimes it's a county level supervisor, sits on that support team. And then, of course, you, the candidate, sit on the support team. As far as course offerings go, in the spring, as I indicated earlier, if you are a candidate who needs one or the other of the prerequisite courses, you can take those in an online format during the first 3 weeks of the term. Those 2 prerequisites are a school law class and what I call a general basic leadership class. If you've had one of those classes as a part of another program of study or even as a part of your professional development, we can take those for prerequisite credit. You simply have to email us to let us know and see the transcript of what you have taken. Following the prerequisite courses, in the spring, everybody, both add-on candidates, which the add-on candidates take 6 courses, and full degree candidates at Georgia State take 10 courses. Everybody will take these 2 courses. Our diversity class is a class that is especially important to the overall context of this program, because both one of the legs of the strategic plan of Georgia State University is to embrace the tenets of a diverse society, but one of our additional adopted leadership standards at Georgia State University is the standard on equity and cultural responsiveness. So we feel that it's very important for candidates in our program to start their learning with us with this course. And then you'll see here the first seminar in Ed Leadership, which is our designation for the site-based experience internship embedded course. In the summer, everybody will take the second site-based experience course and the advanced instructional leadership course. Our full degree candidates will take a third class, research in ed leadership and school culture, and that class is typically offered online. In the fall, everybody will take the principal and the seminar in ed leadership, the final in that sequence of 3 site-based experience courses. At the end of fall 2016, our add-on candidates will be finished with their program of study, and our full degree candidates will take 3 additional courses in spring. So what this means is if you're an add-on candidate, you would be eligible for certification at the end of fall 2016, and if you're a full degree candidate, you would be eligible for certification at the end of spring 2017. People frequently ask, what about tuition? So what I have done here is I've pulled based on the 2014-15 fee structure. Now please note that you will be working on the 2015-16 fee structure, and so your structure will look slightly different, but this will give you a general idea of the cost. You'll see here that I have a link to our financial aid office. I always encourage students, if they know for sure or if they think they may need to access financial aid, to go ahead and apply for financial aid at the same time they apply for a program. Just because a candidate applies for financial aid does not mean he or she needs to access it. But if the candidate chooses not to apply for financial aid while applying for a program, then what happens is the candidate has to come out of pocket for the first semester because the aid is not granted in time to pay for that first semester of study. So that's just sort of a contextual element that sometimes people don't think about. So in addition to the elements I've discussed, another really important and exciting element of doing your EDS or your add-on with us is the way that we have embedded the EDS course to roll right into the professional doctorate. If you complete the full degree program at Georgia State University, 6 of your 10 classes will automatically apply to our professional doctorate, our EDD in educational leadership. If you complete the add-on program, 3 of those 6 classes will apply. So I'm going to spend now a few minutes talking to you about our professional doctorate in educational leadership. First of all, just to give you sort of an idea of how this degree came into being. For many, many years, Georgia State has had a doctorate of philosophy with a concentration in educational leadership. What we found over the course of time was increasingly candidates were applying to that program who were just like those of you who are probably listening to this presentation right now. They were full-time school educators, school administrators, system-level administrators, for whom a traditional doctorate was really not a good fit. Additionally, that traditional doctorate didn't always give them the skill set that they were looking for, because what they really wanted was a skill set that was going to help them improve their practice in the positions that they currently held, or improve their practice and continue to hone their skills to gain higher level positions. So that was one of sort of the reasons that this degree was developed. Additionally, it was developed to help give candidates a better understanding of what methods of inquiry need to be utilized in order to analyze issues within the current educational context. And then students really wanted the opportunity to take the strong skill set that they already had and develop them even more so to bring their districts and their buildings forward through successful development, implementation, and assessment of programs. So really, this degree is all about developing knowledge and developing applied skills. So we've already talked a little bit about the international context that Georgia State really embraces. And so candidates in this program, as well as the specialist degree program, have those ongoing opportunities for international interactions. Probably the best and most appealing thing about the professional doctorate is its design. It is created using a flexible, accelerated format. It is a 3-year cohorted model in which the dissertation is embedded across the coursework. So in a traditional program, which the program I went through, I actually went through Georgia State's traditional PhD program. I took my classes, and at the end of my classes, I did a comprehensive exam to assess my knowledge base coming out of those classes. And then it was almost like a completely different program in which I then wrote my dissertation. This program really turns that model sort of on its head in that candidates begin the dissertation process in day 1 of class 1 of semester 1. So at the end of that 3-year program of study, they have been developing that project all along, and they are completely finished with the degree at the end of the 3 years. The courses are offered on the weekend, 1 Saturday a month. Students take 2 courses back to back, and that 1 Saturday a month model is in the fall and the spring, and then we do 2 Saturdays in June and 2 Saturdays in July. You will see that the application requirements look very similar to what I showed you for the EDS. The graduate GPA is just a bit higher. And again, I want to just reiterate that these are the cutoffs and the GPAs that we like to see. If you are slightly beneath one of these points, that doesn't mean that we won't consider your application. This is just the area that we like to see scores and GPA in. So the application information for this program is close to the same as it was for the EDS and the add-on, with the exception of the addition of this on-site interview with a writing sample. First of all, our professional doctorate, we take 1 cohort a year, and that cohort always starts in the summer. The deadline for application to this program is January 15th of 2016, and that's for the cohort starting summer of 2016. In the spring, we review applications. The entire unit reviews applications in what we call a round robin format, where we do those individually, and then we come together and we invite our top candidates to an on-site interview. That's about a 2-hour process. The interview itself is only about 10 minutes, but during the remainder of the 2 hours, we collect an on-site writing sample. And the reason for that is fairly simple. First, we'd like to see what kind of a fit a potential candidate has for the program with regard to being able to sort of sit down and meet with us and talk about how the program can move their own educational goals forward. But second, we feel very strongly that it's not possible to be successful in a 3-year doctoral program if a candidate's not a strong writer. And so we'd like to collect that on-site writing sample. If you take a look at this slide, this is a sample program of study, a sample of what the course sequence might look like. And what I've done here is simply highlighted the courses that come in from the full EDS degree. One of the questions that I'm frequently asked is, if I bring courses in, does that mean I will be able to finish in less than 3 years? And the answer to that question is absolutely no. The leadership faculty has really sat down and looked at the program and looked at the amount of rigor that we feel needs to be there in order for a candidate to be called doctor from Georgia State University. And in looking at that, we cannot see a way that it's possible to do a rigorous doctoral program in less than 3 years. And so you'll notice that what happens is when candidates bring courses into the program, there are semesters where they only take 1 course as opposed to taking the 2. So as far as your transfer credit options go into this program, as I said, candidates with that specialist will transfer 18 hours, 6 courses into the EDD program. Candidates who hold a specialist or an add-on from another educational leadership institution in the state of Georgia may submit transfer credit up to 18 hours to us, and following a transcript and a syllabi review, we can let you know how many courses you'll get credit for. We actually have a transfer credit chart because it's a specific 6 courses that we will take for transfer credit. So in other words, if you've had a research course at another institution, that's not a course that we'll take for credit into this program, because the research course that we offer as a part of our EDD program is specifically linked to the content of the dissertation. So if you're a candidate who holds a degree from another institution, you can simply contact us to take a look at that transfer credit chart, and we're happy to work with you and look at your transcripts even before you apply to the program. Another frequently asked question that is posed to me is with regard to certification for the EDD. The EDD is not designed as an initial leadership certification program for the state of Georgia. So in other words, the way the program is designed is for candidates who hold leadership certification to come into it to complete the program of study and then be able to bump up to a level 7 certification. With that said, if a candidate is not in that context and wants to go straight to the EDD as opposed to doing a specialist degree first, and provided that the school system will endorse the candidate, the internship elements, so in other words, those courses that are not accepted from the EDS, those can be added into the EDD program in order for the candidate to gain that certification. The sort of caveat with that is that that means the candidate is not eligible for certification until the end of the program, as opposed to doing the EDS degree first and having certification while going through the program. We always recommend that candidates do the EDS or the add-on first, because that way they're coming into the program with more core leadership knowledge. But if you're a candidate who's interested in exploring those 2 possibilities, I'm always happy to answer additional questions about that. The tuition program information for this program, and again, keeping in mind that I pulled this from 2014-15, so the current structure for next year's group is going to look a little bit different, is right at $29,000. And again, here's the link to financial aid. That $29,000, I think that if you look at a number of doctoral programs, you will find that to be very, very competitive, and in many cases, much, much lower than some of our private institutions, and certainly much more accessible than many of the for-profit institutions. If you're seriously considering a doctorate, whether you come to Georgia State University or whether you go to one of our colleague institutions throughout the state, I strongly recommend that you look at going to a brick and mortar program that offers at least a portion of your experiences in a face-to-face type format, because it's just so very important to the success of you as the student in a doctoral degree program that you have that interaction with faculty and with cohort members. So sort of we're getting to the point of wrapping up now. The other advantages to obtaining your doctorate with us is, first of all, that we are one of 2 research institutions in the state of Georgia. And so that degree is really very highly valued in the education community. Additionally, we have the flexibility of our format being offered 1 Saturday a month, and this accelerated piece that I discussed earlier, where that dissertation is embedded as a thread throughout all of your program, as opposed to being something that you do after your coursework is complete. So in closing, this degree program is convenient. We're very committed to both our students and to the partnerships that we have been able to develop with our area K-12 partners. The degree really helps provide you with connections, both with your cohort members and with the faculty members, and gives you lots and lots of opportunities for collaboration across both your cohort, the other cohorts going through the program, and again, the faculty members who help run the program. So I hope that synopsis was really helpful to you. Again, if you have any questions, we would welcome the opportunity to answer those via email. My email address is jberry2, and that's the number 2, @gsu.edu. Thank you so much for your time and have a wonderful day.